let's talk math. So mostly math as it relates to my 5.5-year-old. My 5.5-year-old has wanted to be an astronaut for 4 years now, or an engineer. Okay, actually an astronaut and an artist, because he wants to create jets or rocket ships and test them himself. And so he needs to be an artist to be able to draw them, and an engineer and an astronaut to be able to create and ride them. And so that has been the same version. It's gotten more intense or more detailed since he was 1, literally. And he's obsessed. And so math has been core. Math, reading, and engineering have been like, I want to learn how to do this to be able to get to that goal. And so keep that in mind. My goal for my son related to math is to help him achieve this long-term goal by creating a really good understanding of numbers and a great number sense and a great sense of all of the geometry, all of the things. I want to really not F up the foundation because of how passionate he has been. With that, we came from Montessori schools, weren't necessarily the right fit, tried a couple curriculums in our test and found that I could not do them. I'm not Montessori trained myself. I loved the Montessori math style, so I've kept that foundation with especially my preschooler. But when it came to Kay, I needed something that I could do without a lot of training. And so we landed on math with confidence. So you don't have to do the kindergarten. You could go straight to the first grade, and 5.5, 6, I feel like some could be in the kindergarten, some could be in the first grade. We started with kindergarten because I actually started this a while ago. So I started this maybe in February because we were doing that homeschool test, right? And I looked at a couple curriculums, they weren't going to work. And then I tried this one and it really stuck. But we were originally going really, really slow because I had just had a baby. And so having a couple-week-old and doing math were not exactly compatible. And I just pulled my son, and we're debating on whether to pull him, I think at the time, from a private Montessori school. And so, Montessori-ish school. And so we were going really slow. If I were to start now, I would probably start with the first grade, but it worked, and we're done next week with this one and going straight to first grade, sticking with math with confidence. But some people say this one is too easy. Don't judge math with confidence based on K. Look at first grade, because I think that was something, if looking at the difference, I'm like, whoa. Like if we were to start this now, I would have been like, this is absolutely not for my family. But I look at the first grade, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. But this was perfect for where we started. But again, if we started in September, wouldn't have been necessarily. I gave myself permission, like everyone who creates these curriculums says is okay to do, is I changed the pace as my son started picking up the foundation faster and faster and faster. So what we got done from January to, we took a big summer break too. What we got done from January to say May was not even close to what I did in a month from September to October, right? So what we love about math with confidence, it has incredible foundation, tons of review. If you've seen a video before, my son needs more frequent but shorter lessons because he needs more review to get the concepts. And that is what math with confidence does so well. Tons of review in a way that I haven't seen. I think other curriculums expected that you would either review or don't have as much review, and just has you make sure they get this concept and then move on. Make sure they get this concept and then move on. And that was so not okay for my family, for my son. And so this has done really well. It starts really slow for Kay, but it really helps him understand all the numbers and measurements. And you have relay races and pattern blocks and measuring real things and touching and, timed games and activity book. So it had all these sensory pieces to it, and, hiding games and hand flashing. And we did so much. And I supplemented math with confidence, looked up, okay, they have activities for learning combinations of 10 and more. And so I could then use sticks and use Montessori beads that he already understood. And we could add in other stuff, but based on kind of this being the frame. If you learn anything about my family, we have a frame. And then if it doesn't totally match our values or goals, I should say, we never choose anything that doesn't match our values mostly. But if if it doesn't have everything in it, then we'll just add or adapt based on the lesson. So the core foundation is the lessons in this book, but then we may adjust. So a great example of that is, as I mentioned, my son definitely hit a leap or things started clicking. And so this year we started noticing when we're getting into the numbers, the 100 chart and getting into the 20s, 30s, 40s, math with confidence was a little slow, but I didn't want to end it because we're so close to the end. I didn't want to just go to first grade because we were then about to get into time. And was it measuring in time or capacity in time, something like that? I was like, well, these are newer concepts to you. So I'm not going to go and start back at the beginning yet. So I had heard nothing but great things about Beast Academy. This is the second book, but I heard nothing about nothing but good things. And again, my son does better with more frequent but shorter lessons. And Beast Academy introduces things in really clever ways. So I looked at it and I realized, a lot of these things start matching up with Math with Confidence kindergarten when I got to the hundreds chart. And so I just matched a couple of the lessons and would use Beast Academy as supplement, and I would not do the worksheets for Math with Confidence. So I wasn't doing more, I was doing in place of, and I would match them up perfectly. And it was incredible. My son loved, and there were more difficult puzzles. I think it definitely will go well with the first grade. And that's my plan for the first grade. So we are finishing Math with Confidence kindergarten in 1 week. We're going to do a week, like a celebration break, and then we're going to go straight into first grade. So I'm just starting to prep this, and I already know that we are going to have to adapt the beginning as review. And so what I'm going to do a couple things. So one, I'm going to take the first couple assessments. So every often they have, maybe not necessarily assessments, but sort of like check marks on do they understand these things. So I'm going to take the first few check marks and see where he is and see where we need more review or what is really strong, really quick, really, accurate answers. And then I will see how I want to pace the beginning. I will never skip anything. I should say never. I most often don't skip, but I shorten or just do it as a review and do a couple review games rather than do the whole lesson. And so I'm sure I'm going to have to do that at the beginning because we have supplemented with Beast Academy and because we probably could have started this book if we had done homeschooling a little differently or at a different timeline, or I hadn't had a baby and taken a big break. And so I'm trying to de-school my brain that you can do that. And so my kind of biggest lesson and goal for math for myself is that I want to make sure that I match the skills, strengths, and needs of my son by accurately assessing and looking at the pacing, starting point, and supplementation that is needed to help him achieve his goal.